And all the brothers and sisters said, "Amen."
I love that you think we're going to punch him in the mouth.
Fingers crossed, right?
And I ain't butt chugging anything.
We got to do some content here.
In the Venn diagram of fucked up, I'm not sure where that fits, but I'm pretty sure I hit the nail right on the head there.
Works well under close Nick Saban adult supervision.
Randy Sanders has the team dialed in. They are ready to go.
How many bananas do you want out of me?
Don't know. I kind of want to give Vanderbilt some love here.
I love those head games at the two.
You got to weigh all your options.
It's so much fun.
Nobody wants to go Lane Kiffin here? I might go Lane Kiffin here. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is a new episode of Liquor and Leagues, Week 10. Are we in Week 10? Does anybody know if we're in Week 10? I honestly don't fucking know. I should have probably checked that because I may have to edit something.
My feathers are still so ruffled, I can't even remember.
We are done with Week 10. Week 10 is behind us. It is in the rearview mirror. So Week 10 just ended, and we were getting ready to start Week 11. And so we had a full slate of games, 7 games on the calendar that we're gonna walk through. But before we do that, obviously, I want to say, how's everybody doing today?
Good.
I haven't been this pleased or happy all season. That's how I'm doing.
Good. Okay, so
hey, I'd like to ask a question.
Yes,
real quick. Let's go ahead and save everybody some time here. Can y'all just go ahead and ship me the bananas?
There are 3 weeks left. There are 3 weeks.
No, there's not.
No, there are 3 weeks left. You have a chance, but
so you're gonna make
before we start, I have something to say, and I want to say it, and I want you guys not to say anything until I'm done. I tried to do this last week, Mac, and you jumped in, and you fucked me up. I made a statement last week about a team that individuals took umbrage with. And one of the things that was said in defense of that team was that defenses win championships. I heard what you had to say. And being who I am, I did my due diligence. And so I would like to say here that while that statement may have been true at some point, it is no longer the case. Now, you mentioned Bear Bryant. Now, Bear Bryant, so that people are aware, won 6 national championships and 13 SEC championships. Nick Saban won 7 national championships and 23 SEC championships and makes the claim that offenses win championships. Now, it is who you decide to go with, but that's neither here nor there. I broke down all the CFP champions since 2014, since the college football playoffs started. My statement to Grinch about his Bulldogs was they were not a complete team. They were number 1 in the country, but they were not a complete team. The point of that statement was that to win a championship, you need equal offense to equal defense. So the stats right now, so that you guys are aware, is in 2014, Ohio State won the national championship. Their offense was ranked 4th. Their defense was 24th. Alabama won in 2015. Their offense was 2nd. Their defense was 1. Clemson won in 2016. Their offense was 2nd ranked. Their defense was 6th. Alabama won in 2017. Both offense and defense were ranked number 1. Clemson won in 2018. Both offense and defense were 3rd. LSU won in 2019. Their offense was 1st. Their defense was 8th. And last year, Alabama won. Their offense was 1st. Their defense was 21st. So all I was trying to say in my statement was that you need a complete team in today's football to win. The likelihood of you being able to do it right now, Georgia's defense is ranked 2nd and their offense is 53rd. That's the point I was trying to make. Not that you guys weren't finding a way to win or that you weren't number 1, but that your offense and defense are not all clicking on the same cylinders. And that unfortunately doesn't win championships. That's the statement I was trying to make. I get that you all took umbrage and I understand that. So I wanted to clarify for you all.
So it's funny. No, I knew what you meant. Like ideally, the two are never that far apart.
Shouldn't be.
That's typically what you see that gets a champion. But I was laughing because I was thinking about the phrase from Fletch Lives when he's like, "It takes a big man to admit when he's wrong." And I am not a big man.
Oh, I didn't say I was wrong. And look, and I know Mac did come out of the gate last week and said, "You're wrong." I take issue with that statement because it's simply a personal opinion. I don't think it's wrong, Max. I'm not saying Mac's wrong. I believe the adage that championships are won by defenses is an outdated adage, and that you also then cited the NFL, and we all can agree the NFL game and the college game are not the same fucking thing, and one doesn't translate
be
to the other.
100% sure, and believe me when I say this.
Yes,
your opinion can be wrong.
Well, I didn't say my opinion couldn't be wrong.
Absolutely, your opinion can be wrong.
I think like any adage,
but not stood up against
it. And it's just like the notion of study history lest you be doomed to repeat it. It gets too much credence when you start digging into the details, and let's be honest. I mean, the game is a game of details now.
Right.
So, you can't ever say just because you have a defense, you're going to win everything.
Right.
Because, like we said, there's got to be a balance, because we've seen games, we've seen teams, and I'll use Oklahoma, kind of last 5 years ish. I think it may have actually been David Pollock. I know that's just coincidental. I'm quoting him, but that said, like, they squandered what has been an elite offense by having no fucking defense a number of years. And the year Georgia beat them in the Rose Bowl, they just didn't have a defense. That offense was incredible. So no, I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to be playing both sides of the ball, or as we said in the last podcast, all three phases of the ball.
Right.
And it's a four-quarter game, complete team game. And if there's a weakness there, chances are you're not going all the way.
Right.
All right. But the important thing to take away here real quick, though, is that Thor was wrong. There's a lot of football to unpack from this week, and we probably need to move on.
And we will when I'm ready. And that means if this episode runs long, and I'm okay with that. Haas, what were you going to say, brother?
I think it is important to note, though, that Georgia defense is stout and deep and just
no doubt
lights out amazing. It may be side to side, top to bottom, one of the best defenses in the history of collegiate football.
Agree.
You couple that with the fact that a lot of other schools are having down seasons this year. I think for me, that's kind of what I felt like was the point last week is, yeah, they don't have a high drumming offense, but they don't really need one this year. Between the defense and the fact that a lot of other major programs are having down seasons, this could be enough to get them over the hump and give them, a national title this year.
And that is not something I will argue. I totally believe that. But I'm saying after that one specific game, that was simply my perspective of the situation. And that's all.
Yeah,
that's the case I was trying to make, is that they're not a complete team. I think, Grinch, you're probably right. If JT Daniels is under center, they probably become a better offense than they do with Stetson Bennett.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I'll say, and we didn't delve into the numbers last time, was, okay, so we talk about offense. Okay, Clemson game 10-3. Opening, nobody knew who was going to be who.
Right. And we saw how that panned out
Since
for Clemson.
Then, 56-7, 40-13, 62-0, 37-0, 34-10, 30-13, 34-7, 43-6.
But it's important to note that they don't have an offense.
Clemson? They don't. Their offense is ranked 113th right now. Those aren't my
stats. Try and
stats.
back yourself up.
I'm saying
you got to pay attention to the. You were quoting Georgia scores, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've outscored their opponents like 500 and something.
Not understanding what you're doing there.
No, I'm saying
that clearly they're scoring points.
I'm not saying they're not scoring points. That's not what I'm saying at all. And I think that's where the point's getting missed. But we can sit here all day and do this.
Getting missed.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, and you said we were going to.
You are defending this situation
in the world because you're wrong.
Okay, I can continue to bleep you out. I really don't care.
I want to get back to the point where you just keep saying he's wrong, and he says, "No, I'm not." Can we do that? Do that again?
Yes, go.
Can somebody get me the line on whether Thor is wrong or not?
Yes, Vegas will give you that. So
that's a great callback, right?
So
there.
At the end of the day, I'm right, and that's the end of the conversation. So
I'm sorry. You were muted.
If it moves us along.
Oh wow.
Oh, I can do this all day long. I don't even have to mute you here. I can literally mute you in post, so it doesn't really matter to me.
Good times.
So yeah, I wanted to clarify that. That was the point I was trying to make last week. And of course, if we wanted to talk about who the best team was last week, technically that would be Oklahoma. They were 9-0 last week. You guys were 8-0. So I guess you could say Oklahoma was the one team that had gone 9-0, unlike any other team. You have now surpassed that, and that becomes a moot point. But that was last week and not this week. So let's move on. Mac is desperate. Mac is desperate to move on to the week that was. So let's go ahead and get to the week that was. I think the Bananas trophy holder, we will give him his due. I'm not sure what he's bringing to the table here, but so there were 7 games on the roster. This is going to be an interesting one going down the stretch here, Haas, because you and I just pulled even with Grinch now.
Yeah, can we see the?
Yes,
are we in a 3-way tie?
Yes, sir.
Is that what happened?
Yes.
Oh God, a couple of these games.
So
Mississippi State.
So we are
What
now
the-
Mississippi State, bro. You
He
same
missed
with
3 field goals.
yeah. Well, you could say the same with the Kentucky Tennessee game. That was back and forth.
Damn it.
I mean, the only one that there was some difference was. I mean, where was Auburn yesterday? Where the fuck were they?
well, neither team showed up in the first half. That game,
Well,
like Grinch, I think said this is an incredibly boring game.
Yeah, it was 3-3 going
It
into
was
the half.
one of the most. I had that playing on the side while we were hanging out in the family room yesterday, and I was just like, I almost fell asleep. I was about to take a nap.
Mike Leach said in his post game, we have open tryouts for kickers.
I saw
Yeah.
that.
I'm not sure how I felt about that. Like, I thought that was shitty to say.
Well, they fucking missed everything.
Oh,
And
I
they've
get
already
that.
been going back and forth.
I
mean,
get
at some
that, but I was
point-
like, that's shitty to
It's a
openly
shitty leadership.
say.
It's a
It
shitty
is
leadership.
Just to
shitty
call it
leadership.
out
for sure.
in a press
Wow.
conference. Like that,
I
yeah.
understand his frustration and don't necessarily disagree,
Mhm.
but that's a shitty way
That's
to
a-
motivate.
as Haas would
young
say, that's a
kids.
shit-tastic way to do it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I mean, it's just so painful that the kickers literally cost them from being
Cost
6-3, which is
or
what
cost
Arkansas.
you.
Well, both in this
Both.
case.
which one's hurting you more today, though?
Oh
buddy?
God, fucking! And when I saw that last kick miss, I was just like, I was so pissed.
Yeah. I was actually on the phone with my dad who was watching it, and his TV, his connection was slightly ahead of mine. And I'm like, they're not going to miss it. And he goes, oh, look, they just missed it. And I'm like, are you fucking with me? I didn't realize he
They
was
moved
ahead
down
of
the
me.
field on like 2 plays.
Right.
2-3 plays, they were in field goal range, and it wasn't like it was a terribly long kick.
No, totally
Yeah.
makeable.
I saw the dude come out, and I was like, he's missing it. Fuck.
Yeah. And they showed a thing afterwards. The Arkansas kicker came over and consoled the
Ah,
Mississippi
yeah.
State kicker. I was just like,
Well,
dude,
see,
we
that's
both
just
had a
good
horrible fucking
sportsmanship.
day.
That makes my heart happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this before. When you're the kicker, you get like only so many chances.
Right,
You know,
but if
like
I'm the kicker-
receivers, it's like short-term memory. You got to get it back out there. We're
Right.
or interception. Short-term memory. Be a goldfish.
Yeah. I think if you're the kicker, you're going, well, you know what? If the offense had done more work, I wouldn't be in this position. It wouldn't have rested on my shoulders. But unfortunately, that's part of the game, right? All right. So we want to run down this line. Yeah. 5-4 Haas. You and I both got 5 picks this week. Grinch, Mac, you both have 4. So we are now tied across the board, 65 apiece. It gets interesting with 3 weeks left to go. Mac, you are in last spot with 60. There's still room, Mac. Plenty of games. You just have to throw caution to the wind.
Which has gotten you this far.
That's right.
Well, no,
That's right.
let's brass taxes though. There's some matchups coming up where
Yeah,
Oh,
it's 50-50
there's some definitely
at best.
pick'ems.
Who
some
won the
toss-ups coming
ETSU
up.
VMI game?
ETSU won
ETSU.
27-20.
Okay.
Yep,
okay.
they did
You're
win.
not gonna lose on homecoming.
All right. All right. That makes me happy to hear. All right. All right. Oh, and how
yeah.
about can we talk about one other game real quick?
Yeah. Go ahead. Call it out.
Tulsa,
As long
Cincinnati.
as it's not,
Oh no, you mean out of conference?
Who?
I don't give a fuck
8
about Tulsa, Cincinnati.
8 attempts at first and goal, and they didn't score. That's all that saved Cincinnati
Cincinnati.
from losing that game.
Well, it was 20-28, so they would have had to get a 2-point conversion.
2-point
to win.
conversion. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of sequence of plays. but
Oh
they
yeah.
had- It was so crazy. They got stopped on 4th and goal. First play for Cincinnati, they like fumbled it. or whatever. Something happened. It was like a bad snap. Tulsa gets the ball back and they get stopped 4 times again. Oh my God. Credit to Cincy. They're in the AP poll. They're now number 2.
I could tell your frustration when you're sending out the text. You're like, are you fucking kidding me?
I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Yeah.
But they won the game and the AP has them as number 2. They bumped ahead of Alabama.
We'll see what CFP
And
does.
Grinch, do you know if played this weekend?
That is a good question.
I
I love you. I love you.
You know, love from you
I
is
will not be
like
censored.
I've heard somebody say is like being hugged by a porcupine.
It's still love. It's still love.
But it hurts.
It hurts so good.
Love from Thor is like a butt plug filled with razor blades. You know?
Or covered in.
Jesus Christ.
I know.
That
Haas
went
just takes us there.
dark. Wow.
Haas just waits for the slightest opportunity.
Exactly. I mean, in terms of the 3 pick'em games that we had, Auburn, Texas A&M, we touched on that. That was painful to watch for the first half, and then Texas A&M just kind of walked away with that one. Arkansas, Mississippi State, we talked about that. The other one was Kentucky, Tennessee. This was a back and forth. This was a knife fight in a fucking elevator right here, man.
But I did not think that was a pick'em game going into it. I honestly didn't. I thought Kentucky was going to run away with that, and they didn't. That really surprised 3 out of the 4 of us.
Well, yeah, and
I guess I mostly agree with that. I would say that the Tennessee offense is dialed in, no doubt.
yes,
Yeah.
And so I was worried about that, but I really thought Kentucky at home.
I did too.
Yeah.
You know,
I did
the way they played Mississippi State the week before. Mississippi State's been playing. You know, Mississippi State's one of those teams this year. You can't count them out any given week. They're not. You can't look past them. So I thought the way how decisive they won the previous. I really thought Kentucky was rolling all on cylinders enough to. But you're right. That was a great analogy. A knife fight in an elevator. Spot on.
Yeah, and both for Mississippi State, Arkansas, and Tennessee, Kentucky, like none of those teams should be ashamed in the sense that, man, that was classic fight to the end football. You know, I mean, I look at like, and these are the 2 losing teams. Mississippi State, Will Rogers, 36 of 48 for 417 yards and 4 TDs. And then top receiver, Polk, 8 receptions for 117 yards, and they lost. And then you look at Kentucky, Will Levis, 31 of 49 for 372 yards and 3 TDs. Rodriguez, 22 carries for 109 yards. And Wandell Robinson, 13 receptions for 166 yards and a TD, and they lost.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's freaking crazy.
Well, and I guess for me, that game especially, Kentucky, Tennessee, when you look at that game, Tennessee, 461 total yards of offense, Kentucky, 612. The exact same number of turnovers. First downs, Tennessee 17, Kentucky 35. The time of possession, though, 46 minutes to 13:50.
Yeah.
I mean,
they lost.
They
That's
said
crazy.
that Kentucky set a school record 99 plays of offense.
That is crazy.
By all accounts, if you look at that stat line and you ask anybody who knows a damn thing about college football or sports, who won that game, I think 99% people tell you it was Kentucky.
Yeah.
But
I mean, just time of possession alone.
right.
Like you
But-
said, not even focusing on 35 first downs to 17. Holy shit.
But what did Tennessee do? They took a page out of Georgia's book, and their defense kept them in the game. Their defense was on the field for almost 100 plays. I mean, that's no joke. And I can tell you, Dan Mullen, he needs to watch some Tennessee fucking game film in terms of how his defense should be playing, because his defense clearly is not doing what they should be doing. So, yeah, I mean, the numbers there don't say that Tennessee should have won that game.
Well,
And
let me ask you this. So Mac and Grinch and I picked Kentucky, and I think we were all pretty reasonably solid in that pick. I mean, like Mac said, you thought they were going to win. You had no reason to believe they weren't going to win, right? Hands down, easy win, yeah. But you went and picked Tennessee. What is it you saw? Were you just taking a shot in the dark to go against the grain, or was there something there?
Well, their offense. I mean, Grinch has said this a number of times at the beginning of the season. Hendon Hooker, he was the quarterback. They didn't have a receiver he couldn't overthrow, but he's gotten better. Their offense has absolutely gotten better in leaps and bounds over the last few games. I didn't expect their defense to show up like that. I mean, I expected it to be a high scoring game because Kentucky has a fairly stout offense and Tennessee has gotten better. And really, if you want the truth, it was a shot in the dark. It was, I need to make up some ground. And my thought was, I'm going Auburn, I'm going Arkansas, and I'm going Tennessee against Grinch's Texas A&M, Miss State, Kentucky. And if I could pull in 2 out of the 3, I'm at least, we're tied. If I drop one, then yeah, I take that risk. I honestly thought that game was not going to go my way. There were times like when
I was about to say, bro,
yeah,
like you needed it by the end of the day yesterday. You needed it to go your way.
Yes. I mean, obviously I would have loved to have taken the Auburn win early, the Arkansas win I got. So I was like, okay, at least I'd be smooth sailing going into the night, but then that didn't happen. I split those with him. So I gained no ground. So when we got to that game, Tennessee jumped out to the 7-0 start and I was like, okay, all right. And then, they were just back and forth. Like you hit me, I hit you. You hit me. I was like, fuck.
It was a great game.
It was
ignoring somebody winning or losing. It was a great game.
It was the pick 6 by the defense, which put Tennessee over the top. Because obviously they were able to get points off that turnover right then. And then they just needed their defense to stand up for 40 fucking minutes, which they did. So kudos to them. Now, does that take a lot out of them? Absolutely. And you're going to rebound against Georgia. So it's like, shit, next week you're going to be facing Georgia. So.
Yeah. Well, listen, nobody puts the baby elephant in the room in a corner. We need to talk about the Florida Georgia game.
Absolutely.
The Florida South Carolina game.
I mean, we can go back a week if you want
No,
to.
That was
all about
that was a Freudian slip if there ever was
well,
one. God,
It's so
We
funny.
do
I said to
not need
Mrs.
to
Grinch
talk
the other
about that
day,
game.
I was trying to explain a game score. I messed up every team. I was like, good God, it's like having 12 children. And I'm trying to remember who I'm yelling at.
Yeah, and over here it's like, it's anywhere between 8 or 9 o'clock at night to like 1 or 2 in the morning. I'm like, I'm like twitching and shit and drooling on myself.
Trying to watch the game with one eye open.
Yeah, it's anyway. Yeah,
I'll let you lead the charge. Go ahead.
I know that 3 of the 4 of us, and I guess to some degree, Grinch, you have a dog in this fight, I guess, so to speak. This was a game that was important. I mean, Mac, you and Thor and I went to the South Carolina Florida game in 2017 together at Williams-Brice, where South Carolina somehow managed to win. And here we are with the only other time in recent memory that South Carolina was able to squeak out a win was at Williams-Brice against Florida. And listen, I purposefully didn't say anything in the chat thread that we had because look, I get it. I mean, it's painful. It's painful to watch a team that you love so much dysfunction in a way that seems like it's normal and okay. And when I watched that game, that's what I felt like I saw. I know that's not going to give you any solace or comfort, but no, you're not alone. There's support groups out there. I would say keep the hope, but I promise you that's a dangerous road to go down. Invest in good bourbon or good tequila or whatever your poison is, because that's what'll get you through ultimately at the end of the day.
Amen. Mac, go ahead.
I got nothing. I really just don't even know where to start to unpack. The only thing I think that you can take away from that game, and you have to really, squint hard to find it, is that this will be the catalyst for change that I think needs to occur. At what level that change needs to occur, that's yet to be determined. Does it start with Todd Grantham at the defensive coordinator position, and in there, does it go to the head coach, and Dan Mullen? A lot of articles I'm reading saying, he will not be back next year. I don't know that it's time to write him off just yet. and we see this often in college football, right? It becomes a knee-jerk reaction. Yeah, things are not going well. And when you have the alumni and the support system and the expectations at a program like you do at Florida, when things don't go well, people get pissed quick. But I don't think you can make that kind of a knee-jerk reaction off of something like this. So I think, I don't think it's time to pull the trigger on Mullen just yet. But let's be honest, his leash is really short right now.
And getting shorter by the minute.
Well,
yeah.
And I gotta believe
now,
you're right. I think you're right about Grantham, though. I mean, South Carolina hasn't put
Grantham's
40
gone.
points up. He hasn't put South Carolina put up 40 points on anybody. And we had
If he makes it to the end of the
we
season,
had two-
I'd be surprised.
200-yard receivers and a 100-yard rusher, or the other way around yesterday. I mean, like, that Florida defense really made South Carolina look good. And I hope that's more to come. But as it stands right now, if we look at the entirety of the season, South Carolina's offense has looked like a dumpster fire inside of a train wreck, inside of an enigma. And yesterday, that Florida defense made them look really good. And I don't understand, because they haven't looked that horribly bad all season.
That's
What
because
happened
all
yesterday?
Players had the flu.
Oh,
Is that? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Look,
Yeah.
and look,
Let me ask you something. Do you guys buy that,
does
though?
bother me.
Is that a PR spin?
Whether I buy it or not, it bothers me that you come out and you do that, right? And that's where I do
and
have
it's a
problem with
pattern.
Mullen and some of the things
Yeah.
he's done. Yeah.
It's
This
a
is not the
pattern, because
first
he
time.
did the same shit after the Oklahoma game last year. And he said, like,
Right.
well, this is part of our next campaign. And don't get me wrong, there were several key players not in that game, to include Pitts and Tony. But the fact,
without a doubt,
that
I'm sure.
he showed his character by making excuses, and everything I've heard since then, he's not offering any insights into what the solution is. And the fact that, like, he doesn't, to my knowledge, he doesn't really throw Grantham under the bus, suggests that, like, the two of them kind of know they've got a problem with the team right now. And I mean, that's why, like, my head starts going towards, if I'm the AD at Florida, I mean, I think, and I read some similar stuff, Mac. I mean, everything seems to suggest Mullen's going to be there till the end of this season. The question becomes, with the LSU job open, with the USC job open, and some of the other firings, who is the right guy for Florida if Mullen ends up not being the guy? And I don't know the answer to that.
But you mentioned those jobs. If I'm LSU or I'm USC, I'm not looking at Dan Mullen right now. Why would I?
No, what I mean is, like, the
Bringing
Luke
those people in.
Fickles, some of the other big names.
Right, who's
that are
available.
Mel Tucker, even though Michigan State just lost. James Franklin, who is, like, really weird in his last press conference ahead of Ohio State game. And apparently he's got a new agent that he hired on. Like, in the big swirl of potential coaches, normally I have a few I think about of, like, oh yeah, that's next man up. I don't know who those coaches are right now.
You would have to go with a kind of an unknown and take a chance, because there isn't a big name that you're right that says, oh, it makes sense to dump him for this person.
Right.
And I'll tell you, like, admittedly, I don't think it was a deliberate shot at Dan Mullen, but, Kirby Smart talked about after the Georgia-Florida game, he's like, you can't out-coach good recruiting. If your players on the field are just simply better, a coaching scheme is only going to get you so far. And as everybody, anyway, any Georgia fan knows, Kirby eats, sleeps, and breathes recruiting. And Dan Mullen seems to just not like it. Like, he doesn't enjoy it. He doesn't talk it up.
We'll worry about that at the end of the season.
Yeah, which is such an odd comment, considering Texas A&M just landed the second highest recruit in the nation after the game Saturday, and Walter Nolan. I think he's a D tackle.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's just one of those, like, I from what I gather, Dan's got, a pretty good contract situation in the sense of, like, nobody's going to just oust him. But it seems like there are options for him to leave at the end of the season that aren't dramatic, like financially catastrophic.
Let's be 100% clear. Florida clearly has no problem paying coaches to go coach against us. We've done it with, two of the last several coaches. So, I could see them, buying them out if it got to that.
Yeah.
Look,
I mean, look at what happened with TCU. Gary Patterson, an alumni, came to the table and was like, I'm paying him off. It's time for him to go.
Right.
The dude had been there like 22 years.
At the end of the day, I said it yesterday. I think Todd Grantham needs to go. I don't know, his scheme, his technique, whatever it is that he brings to the table clearly isn't working. We've said this since the beginning of the season. Florida's defense doesn't tackle, their secondary doesn't contain, and it's just one of those things where that starts at coaching. And I know you talk about you can't outcoach recruiting. Clearly, we're not pulling in 5-star recruits that are playing lights out. So coaching is a factor. And if they can't coach proper technique, then that becomes an issue. Now, will they fire him?
Well,
I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I just, I do think the players at some point have to be held accountable, because they're the ones out there, playing. The coaches can only take them so far. And I almost got, and I didn't get to see all the game. And I think, quite frankly, I'm glad
You're
based on the final outcome of it. But it looked like from some of the highlights and some of the stuff that I read that Florida just kind of gave up. And look,
Yeah.
I get it, right? It's hard, right? It's hard to play and keep motivated when you're already down and you're not going to win, but you have to push through that. And that's the measure of a true great player, that you can continue to push and play at your, top level, even when you're going to lose.
The comparison I saw, which I found interesting, was how does an LSU team play as hard as they did against Alabama and almost beat them for a coach they know is already fired versus another roster, whether they're equally depleted or not. We all know LSU's roster is like held together with Band-Aid and Band-Aid, duct tape and glue.
Yeah.
And yet there was just no heart there. There was no passion. My suspicion is that some of the issues with the program run pretty deep. And it's one of those, like, maybe don't even want to air it all out. It's like, let's just move forward. We'll reset with a new coaching staff and then go forward. That's my suspicion.
He came in 2018, his first season, he was 10-3. Then he was 11-2. Last season, we know was kind of an off-season conference only. He was 8-4, and now he's 4-5 with 3 games left, right? So
that's a significant decline.
Which means you're going to end the season at best. You're going to end 7-5, which means you're going backwards.
I think he's 2-8 versus like top 10, something like that.
Probably.
But that also brings back to, we talked about it before with the coaching cycle and recruiting, right? And some of the statements he's made recently, you can kind of trend and look at that, right? He came in playing off the last guy's recruiting class, and winning with those players. And now you're looking at the guys he's brought in.
He can't recruit.
And what they're able to do. Yeah. And, it doesn't look good. So, do you hire somebody else to go do the recruiting and just let him do the head coaching? I don't know.
Yeah, but I think he's still going to sit down at the table with whoever goes and recruits and go, these are the type of people I want. That's the problem. It's the type of people potentially he wants.
He'll be Nick Saban's OC next year.
Yeah. I mean, and I joked about this obviously at the beginning of the season.
You laugh.
I'm not. I am laughing because of the irony of it.
He ends up in Auburn. Did you guys see the coaching people who all is in Auburn now? You got Bobo, you've got Derek Mason. I mean, you've got like all these like former has-been head coaches.
Got to go somewhere.
Or whatever.
Well,
they're all sitting in Auburn right now.
And as I joked in the text, I heard somebody say, and now it's not the same because obviously there was some losses, but of the top 4 coaches, they either were Nick Saban or they had coached with him.
Yeah.
Between Mario Cristobal, Mel Tucker, and Kirby Smart.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with only 3 weeks left. Next week, Florida's got Samford. I mean, you lose that game, and I think it's a done deal.
Yeah,
Lane
Kiffin will be your head coach before you.
I'll take him. You know what? Fucking put me on the train. I mean, for fuck's sake.
Hold on, stop the presses. Did you just say you would take Lane Kiffin?
I quit watching the game yesterday. I mean, I'll be honest. I quit watching the game.
Anything is worth a shot.
We talked about Shane Beamer at South Carolina. Like, you got to give a guy time, right? Is he doing the right things? Maybe, maybe not, but you got to give him time. Like I said, Dan's had 4 years. Mac made the point. He now has his recruits coming in. You're not playing off the other guy's recruits. You've had a few cycles to recruit. Clearly, you are struggling to recruit effectively and appropriately. And I said this at the beginning of the season when we joked about Lane Kiffin. I said there are, or Muschamp, you do get promoted to your level of incompetence, like Muschamp did as a head coach. Maybe Dan Mullen was great as an OC. He's just not meant to be a head coach, which may be the issue that we're finding
some
out.
people aren't leaders, right? They're
Right.
not leaders. They're not recruiters. They're not charming. They're not whatever. I mean, I think you both can agree, McAthor, that he doesn't say things well when he's trying to convey positive.
And he got away with the shit at Mississippi State. But you're expected to be in the fight. And
Mac,
I think it is called the Peter principle of when you get promoted beyond your capabilities. But I mean, it obviously all indicators are going the wrong direction.
And Mac, you called it out. Was it last year he made the statement about packing the stadium during COVID?
Yeah, after during COVID, they finally kind of released some of the restrictions. And he said, "Well, let's pack the swamp."
And you even then were like,
"Dude, right, you idiot!
Dude, shut your fucking mouth." You were like, "Dude, don't say that."
And they were just coming off of and I think that was it, right? That was one of the things. One of the excuses he had put out after one of the games was, we had a bunch of players test positive for COVID. That's why we didn't win.
Right.
Look, I get it, right? These things happen, but don't come out in a press conference and say, like last night, we got beat.
Right. That's on me.
I don't think it would have mattered if you had those players there last night. South Carolina just manhandled them.
It's hard to say that when the score was 40-17.
Take a page out of Tim Tebow's book, man. He said, look, when Tebow lost that game that year, that wasn't his fault, but he said, that's on me and I will never do that again.
Yeah.
Like, that's what Dan should have said yesterday. He should have said, this one's on me. I'm sorry to all the Florida nation. We fucked up. That's on me and we'll get better. But he didn't say that. It was 30 plus players had flu-like symptoms. And I said this in text. You start making excuses when you don't have answers. That's your default mechanism.
You just mentioned a name.
No. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
as a head coach?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know at this point.
He doesn't seem like,
and there's nobody else out there.
Here's the problem. He keeps trying to play sports.
He's trying to be a tight end.
Player,
he was trying to be a tight end, and like, come on.
Not all
I don't think his
players
maturation. Yeah, and I don't think his maturation.
Look, I'm not saying it's a good idea that I think it should happen. I'm just saying.
I mean, I heard a couple of
I could see
things.
something like that being something that happens.
One was, CJ Spiller goes to become the running backs coach at Clemson, and they get like 2 transfers that leave. Yeah. It's not a guarantee. Just because you have the acumen to play the position doesn't mean you know how to coach and teach. But I'll juxtapose Dan Mullen with somebody that I still have tremendous respect for, which is Sam Pittman. He got raked over the coals over that call last week of going for it on 2. Right. Nobody understood the rollout when you had KJ Jefferson, but in the press conference, he said, "Yeah, I like the call. He's the head coach. He owned it."
Right.
But look at the difference in what they called to end this game, which was, "Hey, I owned it as a leader. It doesn't mean I didn't learn from it. And behind closed doors, we aren't going to talk about it. So we're not going to do that this time. We're going to run the ball into the goddamn end zone."
On that note, Grant, we've kicked the tires on the Florida side. Do you mind if I could take a couple quick minutes to kick the tires on Carolina?
Go for it, man.
So I would say that I am doubling down on the fact that I think Shane Beamer is the right guy for the job. I have been nothing but pleased with the approach he's taken with passion, and we're a unified front, and we're a team, we're a family, we're a football family. We support each other. We're in competition. I don't know what they did in the bye week, scheme wise. I don't know. I mean, offensively, they've been abysmal this year. The offensive line has been straight horseshit, and I don't know. Yesterday with the rushing, some of the explosive plays they had with the passing game. Now I get we're down to our third string quarterback, but I mean, Spurrier was there at the game yesterday, he and Jerry, and he had even said back in spring ball that he thought Jason Brown was the guy. that he was going to be the one leading the team. So I don't know if it's just stars aligning. I don't know if it's happenstance. I don't know. I just, what I saw yesterday was a very exponentially different team than what I had seen for the rest of the season. And I understand, and people are getting overly excited, I feel like, because getting too excited when you're kicking a down Florida team is not exactly, I think that leads to poor emotional IQ, right? Because it was a good
doesn't
win.
Matter. Yeah. You still beat Florida, whether they're down or not. That's a team that if you're Shane Beamer, you need to beat to kind of, solidify what you're doing, right? Because, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, they barely beat Vanderbilt and people were calling for his head, and so now, even if it is a down Florida team, that's an in-conference game. It's kind of a rivalry game. And you still hang your hat on that and walk away, and I think, good on him for that.
Here's what I'll say to that, Haas. As I glance at South Carolina's schedule, we'll ignore the UGA game. I think UGA is in a different kind of category of like what they do to teams, but 16-10 UK lost to Kentucky. Now Tennessee came in, and this was when they were kind of just starting to really hit their stride. That was 45-20. Tennessee was in fuego that game. A&M 44-14, not a great showing. So now you get a 40-17 win over Florida. Next three games are Mizzou, Auburn, and Clemson. I think that answers everything you're saying of where is this team headed? Because, Mizzou, to start the Georgia game, they had a chip on their shoulder. You could see it. They were getting lippy out on the field, and they played with a lot of heart. They just ran into a buzzsaw that they didn't expect to be as strong as it was. And yeah, I realize I'm propping up Georgia, but that's just the reality. They scored first, and then they didn't score again until the second half. But we know Auburn can be tough. So I guess my point is Mizzou is a good litmus test, I think, for where this team is.
Agreed.
And then I think Auburn will be a tougher test. And then it's personal to Clemson.
Look,
so
yeah, if they win Clemson, though, that's
And you get them at home.
Yeah. So I think you got a lot to really assess your team with.
We'll see.
Going into the end of this.
I'm just not. I guess all of that was to say this. I'm not. Look, I'm glad we got out with a W. I think I'm very pleased with the progress. I'm very pleased with
Me too.
some things I've seen. Now I want to see some consistency.
Well,
positive.
You've been consistent in your support. You absolutely have been.
Yeah.
I will say this though.
Doesn't my liver know it?
If Dan Mullen is anything to take away when we talk about is he trending in the right direction, now you have to wait and see if he can recruit worth a shit. Yeah. That's the other problem.
Well, and Florida has Samford. They better fucking win that.
I'm not
Mizzou,
sure.
And then FSU.
And FSU's having a down year, but I don't know that that's a guarantee.
Yeah, NC State just beat them this weekend. Clemson barely beat them.
Yeah,
but it'll be personal. So it's a great litmus test of where's your heart.
Exactly.
Are you ready to defend your pride, your honor?
But do the players go, the guy's making excuses?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. All right. So that's the week that was. Let's jump into the week that
I know that was long-winded, but man, there was a lot to unpack from this weekend.
Absolutely.
Well, this is the shit we enjoy talking about when we really dig into the teams, talk about the games. Yeah.
And as painful as it was, you know what? Good on you.
Go hours.
Good on you, Carolina. You know what? You showed up. You did what you had to do. Obviously, that's.
I'm thankful the game wasn't Williams-Brice, because I don't know if the game goes that way if it's down in the swamp.
I don't know. We'll find out next year.
They had the bye week. Maybe the bye week was it. Maybe they dialed in some things. I don't know. Let's see what happens this week.
Absolutely. All right. So as we said, Haas and I, both 5 games aside, Grinch and Mac, 4 games. So we are tied across the board at 65, Mac at 60. So we're going to jump into the week that is. Now,
and this is admin note. Do you you pick first, right?
I'm picking first because Haas picked first.
You took the week. Well, yeah, because you two took the week, right? So
right, and we were tied last week, and he picked first. So
no, negative. Negative. You picked first last week, sir.
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
I
Oh,
didn't
okay.
go
So then you
first.
go
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
I
So it should go
apologize.
Grinch, me, you.
No.
It
I
goes
go last.
you. It goes you.
Oh,
I
me,
because
go-
we
well,
got okay. So I
third.
go first. Okay.
Yeah,
I
because
go
we
third.
won the
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
I
Okay.
apologize, Haas. I did go first last week.
Yeah, I don't want to.
couldn't
Yeah, I don't
remember.
want to screw you over. Yeah,
I couldn't
because
remember.
I asked you to because I was looking up some things. Last week was the week where I was trying to look up all the lines and Mac.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay.
Mac pulled that shit on us that I still think is hilarious.
All right. So we will start with you. Let's go down the line. New Mexico
man.
State at Alabama.
Alabama.
Georgia at Tennessee.
Georgia.
Texas A&M at Ole Miss.
Pass.
Pass. Samford at Florida.
Florida.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Arkansas at LSU. This is.
I think I'm
another
gonna go. Yeah, there's 2 or 3 toss-ups this week. I feel like
Yes.
I'm gonna go Arkansas here,
one. Okay.
even though it is in LSU. I'm gonna go Arkansas.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Miss State at Auburn.
Okay, come on.
I know
Bo Nix.
Auburn's ranked 14th. Miss State was
Yeah.
16th, but I'm sure that's going to change.
Well, here's what I'm gonna go with. I mean, I think Auburn. If Bo Nix is hitting on all cylinders, I think they're hands down the better team. But will they be?
Don't
We'll go Auburn.
Auburn it is. South Carolina, Mizzou.
I tell you, I really want to go South Carolina here, and I think they actually can win this game. I wish they were the home team that might have a deciding. You know, I'm going to go South Carolina, and that may come back to bite me. But at some point, my pride in my team has to shine through on one of my picks at least per season, and this is going to be that pick.
Hey, you went South Carolina 4 times this season. You only made a bad pick once, right there
Yeah,
against
I know.
Kentucky. So
I know.
the rest of the time,
And that was a 6-point game. I mean, you know, it wasn't horrible. So yeah, I'll go South Carolina here.
And then Kentucky, Vanderbilt.
Kentucky, yeah.
Kentucky. All right. So let's go back to Texas A&M Ole Miss. That's the one you have not chosen yet.
Yeah. At Ole Miss.
Can you tell me what astrological sign?
Leo.
You know, I mean, look, they have the same overall record, right? A&M's up 1 in the conference.
This is going to be the game of the week, I believe. College. I don't know if this is College Game Day or not. I can't remember. I think I saw
it's
it
going
was.
to have to be, right?
And Oxford, I think College Game Day is going to be there. If that's what I
just
saw.
wonder, man. I wonder. Ole Miss is coming off a fucking powder puff game.
Well, that was
It
that
takes
Hugh
a-
Freeze.
Yeah, they say Hugh Freeze coaching from the freaking
Right.
hospital, and there was some sketchy social media that followed.
Yeah. So what are we thinking here, Haas?
One of the funny comments I read was, "I want to know who used to run Ole Miss's
Ole
social
Miss is,
media."
yeah.
I'm gonna roll A&M only because I don't like Lane Kiffin, and I did want to go to A&M, so I'm gonna roll A&M. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
Fuck it.
So now I will go, okay, Alabama over New Mexico State, Georgia over Tennessee. I will also go Texas A&M over Ole Miss, Florida over Samford, Arkansas over LSU, Miss State.
You're gonna do some Mike. You're gonna roll you some Mike Leach luck, huh?
Look, Grinch.
So there were some candy corns and some gummy bears.
Grinch has sold me on Will Rogers, even if their kicker's shit.
Dude, that
Will
guy
Rogers.
looks so good. He's a gunslinger.
He is. So I'm gonna see if they can pull it out this week. Maybe Auburn's down after the Texas A&M beating. We'll see what happens. But I'm going Miss State here, and then
Okay.
I'm going to go South Carolina over Mizzou and Kentucky over Vanderbilt. So those are my picks. All right, Grinch, it is to you. Alabama, New Mexico State,
Alabama.
Georgia over Tennessee,
Yep. Georgia.
Texas A&M Ole Miss,
A&M.
Florida Samford,
Florida.
Arkansas LSU,
Arkansas.
Auburn Miss State.
Sorry, I'm just pausing on the.
Oh, no,
Arkansas
no.
LSU
That's
game.
fine.
Yeah,
You think about it.
man, these are some interesting games
Yes,
because it's the classic. Who's showing up?
Do you want to change Arkansas LSU? Or are you debating it? Or
No, I'm going to go Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
I like Arkansas in this game.
Miss State, Auburn.
Oh, geez. I'm going to go Auburn.
Auburn it is. South Carolina, Mizzou. He just said it's the litmus test.
I know. And that's by my vote. I'm going to tell you how I really feel.
That's right.
I'm going Missouri.
And then Kentucky, Vanderbilt.
Kentucky.
Okay. All right. Big Mac, you are up. Alabama, New Mexico
Does it
State.
really matter?
New Mexico State.
I mean,
Yeah, it
dude,
matters.
throw caution
Yeah,
to
it
the
matters.
wind.
This,
Alabama.
hey, buddy, this is a safe space, and you have a voice here.
That's right. You go Alabama, Georgia, and then all the other picks, you just throw caution to the wind.
And
see
we're
what
going to
happens.
archive. We're archiving what the worst loss in the history of liquor and leagues is going to be. So be mindful of that. If you want to be in the
that could
record,
be number one.
You could be.
Bananas was the furthest in that it's ever been.
That's right.
That's right.
It's only going in as far as the base. So I mean, there is that.
You don't know.
You're no Haas, brother. So
Bananas, bananas,
Alabama.
bananas.
Georgia, Tennessee.
It's Friday night. Yay.
Georgia.
Texas A&M, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
All right. There's getting one back right there. Look at that. You're making progress. Florida, Samford.
Great law school, by the way. Sanford has a wonderful law school. Yeah. Anybody wants
Do you want to come back to it? Do you want the line on it? Do you want to cogitate?
Nah, I'm going Florida.
Okay.
So Sanford's a Scorpio that likes long walks on the beach.
Arkansas,
or
LSU.
runs on the beach during spring
Did.
break.
That's South Carolina. They're a Sagittarius.
They jerk off in the shower at college. Arkansas, LSU.
That's definitely Kentucky.
Arkansas.
Mississippi State, Auburn.
Miss State.
South Carolina,
And
Mizzou.
South Carolina and Kentucky. Yep.
Kentucky. All right.
Mixing it up again, fellas.
By the way, real quick, I
Yes.
think the line on Alabama, New Mexico State is 50.5. Auburn, Mississippi State, Auburn's favored by 5.5. UGA by 20.
Wait. What was the one before Georgia?
Alabama.
Miss State. Auburn.
Auburn, Mississippi State, 5.5 favors Auburn.
Okay.
Mizzou is a 1.5 favorite right now.
Really?
Texas A&M, Ole Miss, 2-point favorite for A&M.
Can I change a pick?
Kentucky Vanderbilt's 21.5 favorite. Arkansas LSU. Arkansas is a 2-point favorite.
Yes, brother.
What
would you
was
like
the
to
line
change?
on South Carolina, Missouri?
1.5.
Who's favored? Missouri?
Missouri.
Mizzou. Yeah.
Probably because they're at home.
Ooh, yummy.
What would you like to change, Mac? Or are you just going to write it?
If it's allowed, and everybody has to agree to it, obviously, since we've locked them picks.
You wanna go
I'm going to
Sanford?
take Missouri over South Carolina.
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Okay
yeah,
with that.
No
Okay.
objections.
I mean, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah,
I
once you
think
lock it in, it has to
you
be
need-
approved.
Hey, like we said, we're
yeah,
all
it's
entitled
approved.
to the information.
I'm appreciative. I'm appreciative
Or
of
what I'm hearing
those.
is that nobody thinks I'm a threat, and they're willing to let me change.
No,
it.
Yes.
no, it's not
Yes,
that.
that's actually what it is.
I appreciate watching you and Grinchy Crow next week because Missouri is a worse program than South Carolina right now. And yeah, I'm going on the
Yeah.
record saying that I think South
But is
Carolina's
that really
got
where
ass.
you want to hang your hat that you're better than Missouri? I mean, that's almost
They're
like saying,
1-40
I
conference.
we're not great, but we're better than Vanderbilt.
I think when South Carolina is sitting in the middle of the conference and not in the bottom three, like Florida, Missouri, and
Right.
Vanderbilt, I'm happy.
He's happy with
As a
that.
South Carolina fan, I'm happy.
Which is crazy because you're
Yeah.
1-4 in conference. 2-4. 2-4 in conference.
Yeah,
And yet we're better than three other schools.
that's right. All right, let's move on. ETSU. Obviously, ETSU takes the win over VMI 27-20 at home. Homecoming game. They managed to pull it out, Mac.
Haas went VMI. Didn't you go VMI, Haas?
No, he joked about
You
it.
changed. You
Yeah, he
changed.
joked about it. Thanks for paying. me
Only
for that,
because
Haas. I appreciate it.
Lewis went there.
Yeah.
They
about it.
are not in first place, by the way.
Mm,
Chattanooga does hold the top spot in that conference right now.
How you
So,
What's up, Terrell Owens?
yeah.
How you doing, baby?
So, going to be interesting to see how it ends. I will say this. I did look at the stats. Florida, FSU, Miami, UCF, The best team in this country in this state by record right now is West Florida at 8-1.
Nice.
That's fucking ridiculous. That's a Division II team.
What about
Has-
the Sean?
They're not in this state, so it doesn't. I mute you.
That's fucking funny.
They are not in this state. I'm just saying West Florida is the best football program in this state right now, which is ridiculous. So let's
Sean-
move. That's right. Mac, do you have any stats for us for the ETSU VMI game? Just out of curiosity.
I got nothing to bring to the table this week. I think that's at West Carolina, right?
I meant
all
last
I know
week.
is
Last
I
week.
just learned that Tulsa or
Oh, no.
the Golden Hurricanes.
Is that what they're called?
I think
Nice.
so.
They have hurricanes in Tulsa. I didn't know that.
Western Carolina is the Catamounts.
Catamounts.
There you go. Is that
Beautiful,
another chicken?
and a beautiful campus. We've actually toured it. It's a really nice campus up there.
But your daughter didn't go
And,
there.
she did not.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. So ETSU, Western Carolina. Haas, you pick first. Who would you like?
I'm gonna go ETSU.
You are going ETSU.
Yep, they're yep. Just for the
So
record,
real
fellas,
quick,
just for
Western
the
Carolina.
record, the Western Carolina couldn't even beat Mercer. Okay, and I'm here to
Okay.
tell you that Mercer is a school of students and intellectuals.
Okay.
They are 3-6 overall and 3-3 in the Big South Conference right now. Western Carolina is.
Okay.
So
So really hitting on all cylinders, it sounds like. Okay. So Haas, I'm also going to go to ETSU. Grinch, ETSU.
Yeah, Haas got his Chattanooga win, which may be the decider in all this, which
It
is so
will be.
freaking funny to me. But yeah, ETSU.
And
That's it funny. It was a good logical pick.
It was. Hey.
nobody saw that coming.
Any school that produces Terrell Owens, you just go with them.
That's
Well,
it.
I mean, and they're
And I
basically a
remember you
farm
analyzing
team.
the game. You were like,
They're a
in
farm
state,
team.
they're going to be
They
pissed
are
off.
in state, right? And they are farm team.
Randy
for
Randy
university.
doesn't have the team dialed in this week.
well, he didn't.
Clearly 21-16 on that one. And then Mac, ETSU, or do you know something we don't know?
I'm going Western Carolina. I think this is a home game for the Catamounts. I think they're going to be ready to play.
You just lost your 3 followers that the ETSU faithful are like, you're
And
like
by
Lee
the way,
Corso. You just put on a
Randy-
catamount head.
Randy was one of those followers.
The
and
guy
he
that
just
brought us to the
bounced.
table and he just shit on us. That is the first not ETSU pick you've had. Everybody else has had a non-ETSU pick except
And in
you.
fairness, they've won
Yeah.
every damn week.
So interesting. Okay, Mac, living dangerously.
I don't know. I think that they're primed for a loss right now.
Do you? Are you sure that's what you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay, they're primed for a loss. I mean, okay. I sure. I'm not even sure I'll take that. Maybe I want to change my pick. Doesn't really matter. All right. So there we go. Our picks are locked in. 3 ETSU and 1 Western Carolina. Our liquor and leagues SEC games are locked in. Another interesting week. Got 3 games. This is going to be another one that decides quite a bit.
Mhm.
Nitty gritty time.
Somebody.
Rogan Wells from Western Carolina, 32-4 overall as a starting quarterback.
There you go.
So, he's got experience on his side.
Based on these,
until he
until
meets
he doesn't.
ETSU. Yeah.
based on these picks, one of us is going to be in the absolute outright lead at the end of this weekend. There's no way for us to be tied. So, good, bad, or indifferent going into the last 2 weeks of the season. But we also have the SEC
Well,
game.
Yeah, I mean, week 12, there's just not a lot of opportunity to move there.
No, I mean this week right here. It's going to be week 13 where you're going to
Yeah, that's
get some
why
choice.
it's like you got
Last week and this
week.
Last week and this week.
Because next week's we're probably it's almost another bye. I bet almost everybody goes the same next week, but we'll see.
Hey, at least we're making it interesting. Nobody walked away with it. You know what I'm saying? At least it's not, hey, somebody's got 70 and there's no way to catch them.
I mean, we're going in the last few weeks, and
Hey,
This is where
teams
it
are tied
matters.
for
And
first.
Haas, you say it every week. couple of these games every week are just pick'ems.
Yes.
They really are.
You don't. I mean, like I said, Mississippi State makes one field goal. Who knows?
Right.
Or three field goals.
And here's
Or three.
there's a couple. I feel like there's at least a game a week where we don't expect that outcome. I mean, look at the Florida, South Carolina. Look at Kentucky, Mississippi State. Look at, every week there's
It's funny, but we've been
almost every week
consistent on those. Like we all get them wrong.
Yeah, that's
in
what I'm
many
saying.
cases. Yeah, it's the.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know. That's the fun part about being in the SEC, though, right?
Yes, it is.
Other conferences can't put a feather in the cap about that.
Oh, unless you're West Florida and you have the best record in the state. But hey,
Mhm.
who's paying attention? All right, gentlemen. Well, I appreciate it. Another episode of Liquor and Leagues wraps up as we move to week 11. We will see how these games play out and see where our pick'em ends up. Only a few weeks left, man. So we got to start making some serious decisions. Mac, you have the chance to pick up a few games. So, you got to do what you got to do. Hey, at the end of the day, win or lose, you're coming away with something, right? And that's the important part.
Yeah, he went Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Missouri.
Yes, you
He
did.
could easily pick up 3
Yes.
right there.
You
You
could go
pick up
LSU.
those 3. Because
Right back in it.
You could go right here, LSU,
Nah,
New Mexico State.
nah.
Okay. All right, gentlemen. Well, I do appreciate it as always, your perspective and your takes on all of these games. We will leave it there and we will do this again next week. So thank you.